I'm greatly honored to be here today. I don't know much about liberals or conservatives or any of that. I'm just a Christian, single, hardworking mom who lives in rural Buckhorn, Ontario. Okay? I've overcome many things in my life, many hardships, from growing up in a single parent household, to being a rape victim, to recovering from meningitis of the brain and undergoing multiple operations to survive for my family, to recovering from a medical error that left me in a coma for 3 days and being told I will never walk again. But I'm here today, Mr. Trudeau, very honored and proud to be a Canadian because we live in a system that offers medical help, and we offer programs that help people with disabilities go back to school and better themselves. And I did just that, Mr. Trudeau, but I feel like you have failed me, and I'm asking you here today to fix that. And here's my story. I learned to walk again when people told me I would never walk. I went back to college again when all my friends and neighbors told me, you're too old, you're crippled, nobody will ever hire you. I did all that, Mr. Trudeau. And 7 years ago, when I was hired by my employer as a PSW at Extended Care in Lakefield, that I'm very proud to work for, they never judged my disability, and I thrived. I thrived. I told my coworkers and my family that I'm Canadian, and 2 years from today, when I started that job, I told them I was going to buy my own home. A single mom living in Ontario, Canada, making $20 an hour. I lived off Kraft dinner, hot dogs, whatever it took to survive. But I bought that home, and I'm proud. But something's wrong now, Mr. Trudeau. My heat and hydro now cost me more than my mortgage. I now not only work 75 hours a week, I stay and work 15 hours a day, just so I don't lose my home. My hydro bill, I want to share with you. A single family home, one person who works hard with a brace up to her leg, partially paralyzed every single day. I put that brace on, and I'm proud to be Canadian. But something's wrong with our system, and I have faith in you and God that you're going to work hard to fix it. How do you explain to a woman how she's supposed to pay a hydro bill $1,085? And I did it. I've done it. I've done it for the last year. I lived without hydro for 5 days after paying a $680 bill. They showed up one day. I came home from work in the hottest day of our last summer to go 5 days in the heat. I have epilepsy, a disability. I called and I begged our hydro company. They wouldn't do nothing. 5 days I lived in that heat. I'm asking you, Mr. Trudeau, and here is my question today. How do you justify to a mother of 4 children, 3 grandchildren, physical disabilities, and working up to 15 hours a day, how is it justified for you to ask me to pay a carbon tax when I only have $65 left of my paycheck every 2 weeks to feed my family? I'm asking you to fix our hydro system. I'm asking you to fix Canada. I'm asking you, Mr. Trudeau. I know we need HST. I know we need taxes to fix roads. I know we are a country that welcomes people from everywhere. I'm putting my faith in God and you, that you're going to make our country a place that we can prosper again, that I don't have to wake up tomorrow and worry whether I'm thriving or I'm surviving. I don't have to go to work and eat instant oatmeal for lunch and live off Campbell's soup. I make almost $50,000 a year, Mr. Trudeau, and I'm living in energy poverty. Please tell me, how are you going to fix that for me and all of us in rural Ontario?
First off, on behalf of everyone here, let me say thank you, not just for everything you do, but for sharing that extraordinary story with us. Your strength, your determination is an inspiration and example to us all. We are a country in which anyone with a quarter of your strength, of your drive, should be thriving and focused on how are you going to spoil your grandchildren with all your energy, as opposed to how are you going to get through the week or the day. A lot of different elements come into your question. A number of them are provincial. Hydro bills are provincial, but as you point out, the federal government's decision to put a price on carbon is something that we have moved forward with, and it's one that is causing consternation amongst a broad range of people, and I understand, because carbon and carbon emissions and carbon is part of everything we do, whether it's heating our homes or getting back and forth from work, or in the products we buy.
How do you justify a person who's barely surviving having to pay for infrastructure for public transit in Toronto who lives in the country?
No, I entirely agree.
How do you justify making money to provide for rebates for people to buy $150,000 electric cars when most of us can't even afford a $20,000 car?
Indeed.
It has to be done.
We need to realize that we are in a time of transition right now. That the world is moving off of fossil fuels, and that's a good thing, and it's an important thing, because, quite frankly, the extreme weather events that are coming are going to be incredibly expensive, and not just for our communities, but for our agriculture, for people in the north, people right across the country. We are facing a challenge where we have to change behaviors, and it is important that those changes happen in a way that doesn't penalize our most vulnerable, that doesn't make it more difficult for families who are already stretched thin to succeed. And that's one of the reasons why what we're doing with the putting a price on carbon is we are leaving it up to the provinces to determine whether a carbon tax or a levy or a cap and trade system is right for them. And on the other hand, we are not taking any money outside of the jurisdictions that pay those carbon taxes. So it will be up to the government of Ontario to ensure that you are not penalized, that folks like you don't.
I paid out over $200 a month in January already in their carbon tax.
We haven't brought in any carbon tax yet, ma'am. It doesn't start kicking in for another few years, okay? But I understand your concerns, and what is so important is that in this time of transition, we do not penalize people who are already stretched to, and in some cases beyond the breaking limit in terms of their finances. And that's why being smart about how we reallocate those funds is essential, and that's what we're leaving it in the hands of the provinces to do, and I'm trusting they will do that responsibly and not penalize you further and challenge you on that. But we need to get off fossil fuels. We need to make this transition. We need to start protecting our lakes, waters, rivers, streams, our lands, our children's future. And that means we are going to have to go through a shift period. And the challenge that we have and the responsibility we have as community, as a country, is to make sure that the people who are in the most vulnerable positions don't end up carrying the burden that everyone else is so eager to slough off onto someone else. So that is the focus I have very much. And on the challenges in general that you and so many hardworking Canadians are facing, that is at the core of the mandate that we got elected on. We were elected on a promise to grow the middle class and help those working hard to join it. The very first thing we did was we lowered taxes for the middle class. We cut your taxes by a little bit and raised them on the wealthiest 1% to make sure that everyone was doing more than their fair share if they were being successful. The next thing we did this past summer is we brought in a Canada Child benefit that gives more money to 9 out of 10 Canadian families every single month. You will have received this as of July onwards. It's tax-free. It's money that will help every month that you've, I'm sure, used towards hydro bills, groceries, a range of things. It's not the ultimate solution, but it makes a big difference in an awful lot of Canadians' families. And the reason we were able to do more for the families that need it is we stopped sending child benefit checks to the wealthiest families, because, again, we need to focus our help on the people who need the help. On infrastructure, yes, we're making investments in public transit. That are going to allow people living in urban areas to get to and from work, to be able to afford homes that they can get to work from, that will reduce our carbon emissions and our footprints, and invest in the kinds of construction jobs and design and planning jobs in the short term that will make a difference, that will benefit our entire economy. But we're also investing in roads and bridges and agricultural issues and green infrastructure and housing, rural housing, social housing, that is going to make a difference right across the country. We are facing a big challenge. We are facing a lot of big challenges. But the focus that we are taking is on making sure that as we face down these challenges, as we build greater opportunities for you, for your kids, for your grandkids, that we are being thoughtful about listening to your concerns and not making sure that we're making it harder not making it harder for you, because as you've shown very, very well, you are going full out, and the government should be helping you, not hurting you. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you.